Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back once again to Stories Around Azeroth. I am always, as Pete Titans Creed Nethercoat, joined by my usual gnomish cohort in crime, one Mr. Frazley Tastic. How are you, sir?
I am doing great. It is amazing. I'm 14. Oh,
sorry, I was just going back to Classic, reliving my
right.
glory days.
I'm quite sure 15 years ago takes you a little bit back than 14. If you are watching us on the vidcast, I do appreciate every single one of you. But if not, if you are, you'll see a great number of faces on the screen right now. And if you listen to us audibly, you'll be hearing from them very shortly as I go around the room. First of all, we have members of Spewfire, that lovely dragon-powered studio Discord. They've all come to join me to talk about WoW Classic as it's hit its launch this week. So as I go around the room, I will say hello to one Sil from Whispers of War. How are you doing tonight, my darling?
I'm good. I'm trying not to get killed while I'm feeding my addiction.
The classic grab is too much, clearly. Hello across the pond to Michael, aka Acid Tears of the Blue Recluse and the Genome Project.
I noticed that little slip there, but hello. It's good to be here. I am currently taking a small little break from the addiction. Some of us can pull ourselves away, but I am looking at Syl's glasses to try and see where she is in the world.
Also joining me is Tom the Knight of the Blue Recluse and 3 Extra Lives.
Oh, hello, Pete. Good to be here. You finally got this show on at a reasonable time.
A reasonable time, them EU times.
Yeah, EU.
Well, who knows? We might go to it a little bit now, a little bit earlier now that Mr. Frazley is a little bit more free on a Sunday. Also joining us is, and I'm going to apologise if I butcher the Twitter handle, Amanda, otherwise known as Falamoya Krava of Geek Herring on the Dragon Powered Studios Discord. How are you, my darling?
Hey, Pete, I am doing really well, and that was great pronunciation of my name.
Superb. Joining us as well is Marty from Sleepless in Copenhagen, also of the Blue Recluse. How are you, sir?
I am awake. Yeah, I guess I'm sleepless. So yeah, hi.
And finally, but by no means least, one Mr. Flameflash. I apologise if you're on a podcast. I don't think you are, but you are a resident in the Dragon Powered Studios Discord and wanted to join us as well. How are you today?
Greetings. Well, I'm also a regular of Stories Seas, which is a D&D streaming group. So.
Oh, well, there we go. Brilliant stuff. So we'll get into it. How have you all found WoW Classic so far? Like, were you hype pre-Classic launch, or did you get into the flow post the launch? Because I know that the hype didn't really grab myself in the lead up to Classic, but I got into it, you know, as the day really hit, and I was there with a great number of the folks that are in the call when it went live as well. So yeah. Sil, why don't we start with you? How did you find it? Were you hyped pre-launch, or did you just get into it post-launch?
It's really weird because I was not hyped when they actually announced it on BlizzCon, because I thought, why would I want to go back to Classic? I've done that. I have no interest. And it wasn't until, I think, 2 or 3 months ago that I started to feel the hype from the community. And then I got into the beta, which is a weird concept for me for a game that I've already played. And I got addicted then. And the hype was real. I took a week off and that was it.
Brilliant stuff. Tom and Amanda, you guys have been playing together a little bit. Like, did you get the buzz pre-launch, or did you find your groove going into it?
Well, I've been like turbulent with Classic hype because I fell out of love with retail and I was looking forward to Classic. Then I fell back in love with retail and I was like, I don't need Classic. Then suddenly the launch was here. Everyone was on Discord. There's just this magical kind of feeling that you usually get for new expansion for Warcraft, and I think I just fell into that. And obviously, Amanda being in the same space as me as well, I think that lingered off, and she hadn't played the World of Warcraft vanilla. She came in around Mists of Pandaria, and that's when we started playing together. So this was going to be all new for her. So yeah, that's kind of how I fell into it. Amanda, did you feel the hype too?
Yep. Like Tom said, I didn't play Classic. So I didn't really know what to expect at all about it, to be honest. And when we were all hanging out in Discord the night of the launch, I had no intentions of playing. I was like, oh yeah, I've got an alliance character, like it's sitting there. And then everyone was like, oh, make a horde. So then we went to horde, and then I logged in and I was like, oh, this is cool. And yeah, so the hype was born kind of very last minute, and I'm enjoying it a lot. It's there.
Oh, brilliant stuff. Flame, yourself. Hype pre-launch, hype post-launch. Where did you get into it?
For me, it was feeding off of my teenagers, actually, who are both who were in diapers during Classic or non-existent. So watching them get excited for it is more what got me excited for it. Especially on launch day when he's spamming me, my oldest is spamming me Skype videos of Elwyn Forest just jam-packed with people.
That's pretty cool. Marty,
Yeah.
because I think there's about 3 people who have played a lot of Classic in here right now, and you're one of them. So, like, how have you found it?
I was so hyped for Classic coming out in 2004. This time around, not so much. I don't know. I felt like I've been there, I've done it. I liked the idea of Classic. I think I had the we talked about on the Blue Recluse that I would love to go back and do the rating and actually complete everything, because we never completed everything back in Classic. But also knew that leveling, it just takes a while. But then it happened on the launch day. Method started streaming the Race to WoW first, and I started watching that. And obviously, all of us, we were on Discord and playing together. And all of a sudden, that bug just bit me, and here I am, almost a week later, and proud level 22. So I guess I'm into it.
Brilliant. And Michael, yourself, like.
I've been hyped since I think it was announced. Even before then, when we were discussing it on the Blue Recluse, I was pretty excited at the concept. As somebody who never played pre-Cataclysm, I was really excited to see the world as it was before, get to experience the game as what it used to be, because I am one of those that is able to disassociate classic versus modern without really saying, like, this one sucks and this one is good. They're both completely different with some similarities, and I am personally loving it. I think I've only logged into retail once since Classic has launched. I'm only level 15, but I'm having a blast, and I can't wait to start doing some dungeons and start getting out there with a group of people.
Super. And I mean, you raised a good question. I mean, yourself, you mentioned that you started playing in a post-Cataclysm world. Flame, you said your kids obviously started playing in a post-Cataclysm world, I'd imagine, if they've ever played retail. Amanda's post. Were the rest of us all there when Vanilla? I do apologise. I did skip over Frazley talking about his classic hype. We'll get back to you in a second, my friend.
Nobody cares about Frazley. Come on.
You just look right over me.
With the way that gnomes do look in Classic, they are far more puntable, I'll be fair. But yeah, I think it's very weird in the way we look at it in a pre and a post Cataclysm world. The excitement, I think, very much differs for the people that played post Cataclysm, because they're now experiencing a world, or at least to some degree a version of that world that a lot of us did when we were noobs to World of Warcraft in general and like didn't know the world. And I suppose it's a question for those of us that played vanilla and now seeing Classic. How are you tackling that, going into that with the amount 15 years worth of knowledge that you now have going into Warcraft?
That's an interesting thing that you bring up, because I kind of realized when I was playing in vanilla, I did not know the mechanics, and I kind of just fumbled around. I got into Molten Core Raider. I don't know. Now I'm like, how was I even a Molten Core Raider? I didn't know half the stuff I know now. So it's kind of taking what I've learned in WoW and gameplay and moving that into Classic, and it's fun now. I'm actually minimizing or min-maxing in some ways what I was doing, and I'm trying to find the best way, the best spec. Like, I'm actually going to take talents very seriously.
And you didn't roll a gnome this time, so that's a big step in the right direction too.
I did
It's a
have
big
gnome
step
mage.
up, some might say.
I just can't get on my gnome mage because of the long queues.
IQ times? Did you say IQ or no?
Obviously, the IQ is higher, so
Well, I mean, the gnomes do have a buff to intellect, I guess. So, saying that, I mean, it sounds like everybody who's playing Classic is enjoying it. Or are you hitting those queues and not enjoying the queues? I mean,
I had
I don't know
a
what you
few
guys are
days.
talking
I had a few days in the beginning of the week where there was a lot of queues on the server I'm on because I had to go to that thing called work, and then came home after work where a lot of other people came home, and so I was getting into 2-hour queues, and I was like, yeah, I'm not up for that. But towards the middle of the end of the week, I learned by my mistake and took off work a little bit earlier, got home, just logged in. I didn't necessarily start to play, but I logged in. So I was in, and then I did my chores, and then I was ready. So so once I'm in, I've really been enjoying everything, and I think I'm a little bit surprised about how much that I'm actually enjoying it, because I'm having so much fun. I'm having a blast with it, even though that I know pretty much exactly where everything is, and I know, and there's a lot of things where I don't know where it is as well. There's a lot of things that I've forgotten. So.
And I don't know where anything is.
Same.
I am roaming around like a lost puppy. Like, I swear, most of my 12 hours of game time, I may be level 15, but it was just spent doing the wrong professions and just trying to figure out where the heck everything is.
I think the queue time has a weird payoff because, yes, it's really, really long at some points of the day, but if you committed to like doing a Marty, let's just say, just coming home, jumping in the queue, when you finally do get in, you almost feel like, well, I've committed to the queue this long, I've got to go and sit and play for a couple of hours at least. I can't just do what I would do maybe in retail, is, you know, jump straight in, run around Borealis, go, what the heck am I doing, and just log off. You know, you feel like you've put that time into the queue that you're going to actually get something from that too.
Mm-hmm. I'm also making use of the long queue times. Like, I'm finding that I'm taking some time to go and do chores or make food or, you know, just, it's kind of active waiting time, and it's kind of cool because, like Tom says, you're not logging in and be like, what am I even doing here? Because it's just a totally different experience with the whole wait. Makes it feel worthwhile.
fair enough.
And I'm playing on EU servers, living in North America. So the queue times, I rolled. I do have an NA character that I logged in on the first day, and it was about a 2.5 hour queue, and I haven't touched him since because I just simply look at the queue when I get home, and I do have an alternative. So why wait when I could just jump over to my EU character, which is currently right now my main.
There you go. Anyone else? Sil?
I mean, I logged in normal times that I would go to work, so I was up at 6:30, and that's when I logged in.
Still doesn't log out. That's why she's still in right now. That's why she's still playing right now during the podcast. You can't log out. That's it.
That's basically how I had to play it. You don't log out. No, I log in very early in the morning, so there's no queue, and then about 5, because my partner comes home at 5. I'm actually going to be good then. I'm like, okay, well, I'll log off for the evening now, because there's no way that you would get into our server at that time, or you have like 4-hour queues. So that was my cue of, okay, you need to start going to bed. And then I woke up at I went to bed at about 10, and I thought, oh, actually, I'm not that tired. Oh, let's see what the queues are like. And then all of a sudden I was playing until like 2 o'clock in the morning.
Hardy like it's 2004.
Yeah, exactly. And I feel myself in my old habits from 2004 and 5, where I'm, as Sil is logging out at looking at the clock, and I'm like, oh, it's midnight. I should probably log out, but I just quickly need to run to Thunderbluff, which is
that one
on the other side of the world, just run over there and quickly deliver a quest and Hearthstone back. And then I'm like, oh, I should also quickly look at my professions. And oh, there's also this thing over here and my skills I need to buy new of. And then all of a sudden it's 2 a.m. and I'm like, oh, I need to go to work in 5 hours. I should probably get to bed now.
Oh, Jesus. So, I think the biggest talking point for this week is obviously the classic Race to World First that's been presented by Method and their partners over in America. There's a lot of people, as this has progressed, a lot of people misunderstanding what their original intention was to be. Like, they were to get to 60, that was part of it, but then there was also getting to Ragnaros and Onyxia. At time of recording, Joker D was a mage who was the first to 60. Congratulations to him. And a guild on EU called Apes, EU power represent, was the first to down Ragnaros and Onyxia. So it's odd. A lot of these players were very private server heavy, and they'd been practicing a lot of the leveling structure as well. Not sure how many of those were actually on the beta per se. I'm not going to assume a lot, but it's very odd because the classic Race to World First is still going on until at least, I believe, Tuesday and the end of the weekend, because Tuesday is when the majority of the casters return home. So, I mean, for those who... I know Marty's been a pretty avid watcher of the classic Race to World First in the last week.
Yes.
How have you found it? Particularly, we'll start with you. How have you found the classic Race to World First? I personally have found the presentation of the live stream a lot better than the Eternal Palace,
yes.
Especially in terms of the caster talking and everything else. But the chat is Twitch chat and will forever be a pain. But how have you found it, Marty?
Well, Twitch chat is turned off by default when I go into large streams like that. The only time I actually have chats open is when I visit your stream or Tom streams, the small to medium. I don't know how large anyone here is, but streamers. Then I haven't offended anyone, I hope. But yeah, no, I've turned it off. I turn it off because people is just idiots. Sorry to say. People just Twitch chat is just Twitch chat. But besides that, I agree with you. The production value is so good this time. They're in Vegas. It's a huge set. The production people are on spot. So when the casters are talking about something, they just switch to it so snappy. Where a lot of the other times, it's clear that it's really, you can see that it haven't been professional people up until now, or at least just semi-professional people. Because this time everything has been on point. So I really feel it's been really great. I think the only thing this time around is that usually with the other races it's been in the EU, so obviously it's more EU friendly times. So a lot of the time when I'm like, during the day I want to watch some of the stream thing, then they're actually going to bed in the US. So you get the night shift, and the night shift.
That's why they lost. They went to bed.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean that's a small, minor detail. I guess that's how it is normally for the US people when these races go on. So I can't really complain about it. And I think the casters all around have been really good, and I love that they had like private server people in there as well. Some of the Australia's boys and those people. Yeah, so those people, they were so knowledgeable when they were on the caster bench. It was amazing to just hear them talk about, and then on level 7 you get that spell over here, and on level 14 you need to do this, and they just knew everything, and it was just it was so cool to just listen to them talk about all the knowledge that they knew and knew about and things like that. So overall, I think it was really, 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 really cool.
Has anybody else been watching the live stream at all? Michael, what have your thoughts been?
So initially I could actually care less about this whole race to 60 and Ragnaros and all that, simply because I don't know, like I'm more interested in me playing Classic and me being involved with it, and
don't you have
it's
two
not
monitors?
that big of a deal to me. I do, yes. I actually have it on right now. Like it's on right now, but I don't know, even when I've tuned in, I will say casters have been great. I like getting that insight and just kind of seeing the production. Like, it's been really well done. But at the same time, it's not interesting to me to see Zul'Farrak being run 18 times, like just back to back to back. Like, I get the concept of it. Like, obviously they want to do that whole leveling and the most efficient leveling route, and this is how you go about it. But for me personally, that's not interesting in any way.
But I do feel like that is sort of like how the race normally works as well. That you have the beginning of the raid where they're killing a lot of bosses. It's really interesting to see, and then they hit a hard boss and they are just doing pull after pull after pull, and it gets a little bit less interesting. Now you've seen this boss for 2 days. Now you want to see something else, and then all of a sudden they get that kill, they move on to something else. I feel like it's sort of like the same, because that's at least how I felt. That there was time periods when, as you said, now we've seen Zul'Farrak for the past day. Now we want to see something else, right? But
in a sense, yes, I agree there. But when they're doing the race to world first, like with the modern content, they're switching out to go do like, oh, we need to go do some mythic 5-mans really quick to like grab some stuff, or we need to do like just different things here and there. It is pretty similar, and to be honest, I don't know why I'm more interested in the current race to world first than this, but I'm just.
When you say that, you
mean
it's
not all that
the retail raiding stuff, or the classic?
Yes, like I like watching and keeping up with the retail race to world
if
first.
They turn around,
this is just I don't know.
As a counterpoint, if they turn around and did classic race to world first Blackwing layer, and because all the leveling's out the way, is that something you're going to be interested in?
As of right now, no. I'd rather be playing the game. And yeah, I don't know why. It's just I might get it as it comes nearer, but right now I care less.
Tom?
I've been watching it on and off throughout the week, and actually I wanted to say I actually had Twitch chat on for a good portion of this, and actually felt it was pretty well moderated to a degree at the start of the week. I think the moderators weren't like anything through, and I actually had to say, you know what, this is being moderated for an event that's this big, and you only have to look at the numbers on Twitch to see how Warcraft has continually occupied the #1 slot since launch of Classic, and this was always going to be a popular place for people to hang out. And actually, as regards to the race, not really interested. I don't think the way it was presented, as in just farming dungeons over and over, was ever going to be that interesting, but it was interesting to hear people talk. And I think I did something similar to Marty, is just kind of have it on the background, but just listen to it audibly. Took a bit of interest when I saw 4 mages and a priest clearing dead mines, and just getting a bit nostalgic for old dungeons and seeing them get played through a little bit. But I think as a spectator watching that, and there was a lot of other people participating in this that you couldn't really see. So in a way, it felt a lot like how competitive races like this were back in the day, where there wasn't so much of that visual aspect, even though there was a lot of people streaming, but you didn't really know who was taking part. And then it wasn't really until the last couple of days now we were like, oh, there's this bald mage who's almost level 60, and he's the first. And it was hard to kind of measure. I found that Method weren't really even updating their level list in real time, and there wasn't like a way to really track who was where and what. People were posting in chats and to keep up with that, but in a way it just felt a bit janky. But I think overall I've enjoyed watching it. I've enjoyed capturing that nostalgia, but from a competitive side, I honestly was not interested and couldn't really care who came first or second or whatever.
Marty, you look like you got something to say.
Yeah, that's one thing that I find sad, but also I loved when this guy came on all the time, and that's it's Gusu.
Yes.
Every time because he actually was not part of a group, he chose to go solo all the way. That he made his own personal rules that he could not grow up and stuff like that. And just watching him play, he played a rogue, was so amazing. I mean, the amount of times he was about to die, and just make a clutch save over and over and over again, and he did it so many times that I don't think we can actually call it a clutch save anymore. That's just how good he is at it. That was amazing to see, and I think he did become one of the caster darlings as well to watch, because it was just so entertaining to see him play. So every time he was on, that's when I was watching primarily a thing. Or every time they did the dungeon thing, the dungeon farming, then I was just tuning out and doing my own thing.
Something you've all seemed to raise specifically is this big dungeon farm for levels, and it seems to have been something that's I specifically noticed has come from the classic beta streaming side of things. That a lot of people were just doing that so they could keep the quests and the high level quests to do stuff in their downtime and everything else, and do those to push those, get those good items when there was a level cap on the beta to actually be able to get those items. So I think it's something that's come around a lot because of that. Because there's obviously, as you've mentioned, Gozu's had a PDF of the best places to go leveling and everything else. So it just seems to be one of the things, and mages and their AoE, if you've got a good team that can actually kill those stuff, it seems to be good. Before we move on, anybody else watch the Race to World First at all? Got anything they want to mention on it? No?
I
Okay.
didn't.
Yeah, no, go on, Fraz. Go on, Fraz. No, shush.
No, I've not watched other than occasionally. One thing that's interesting and why it got even defeat like Onyxia and Ragnaros got defeated by people that weren't streaming. There's a difference of philosophy between retail current and classic. Retail current's about getting there fast, getting there. Classic is about the journey, about taking your time. And I think part of the reason why we enjoy the current retail is because we're so geared to clear this all fast. But with classic, it's the journey, and we're not having as much fun if we rush, if we have so much.
Well, I guess that's a very objective thing, right? Because I like to enjoy things, but I like to be focused and do my thing. I mean, I'm level 22 now, even though I haven't been able to play every day like Sil. No, I'm just bringing that up as an example.
You have to bring Sil in there with him. Sil too.
No, it's just an example, right? That when I get going, I'm focused and I'm doing my thing, but I'm still enjoying it in that pace that I'm doing it. So I think those people who want to rush to level 60 as fast as possible, that's the way they like to play the game, and that's perfectly acceptable as well.
Rush to level 22.
I think
I'm just getting tired of people saying, well, everybody should enjoy the ride to level 60.
Everybody should enjoy it. Stop rushing to level 22. There's so much to see in the starting areas.
I think that there is, because obviously, Frazley, you mentioned the difference between retail and classic, and I know I've mentioned this previously on different podcasts before, but when classic came out, it was touted as being the more casually friendly MMO compared to everything else that was on the market. Final Fantasy XI required you to have a group beyond level 10 in order to do any outside world leveling and questing, and if you died you lost XP, and the same was with a lot of the other MMOs. You could even see that in DevTales for Classic they took out the fact that you'd lose XP on death. So the fact that the WoW was more touted as a single player MMO that you could play that was more casual friendly. And there were a couple of things, I believe it was mentioned actually on the Classic Race to World First stream, that as expansions have come on, it's become more time efficient to level and do everything else. Like originally in Classic, getting to level 60 would take 4 days. Now the record for hitting level 60 in current retail is like 4 hours played. So the way the game has progressed over time has become more time efficient, because when the game first came out, it was directed at the 8 of us 15 years ago and how much more free time we had, while we're in college and university, and finding all the free time to play between there. 15 years later, we're all late 20s.
I still have the same time.
Late 20s, mid 30s, maybe older, and everything else. We don't have as much free time as we had without specifically taking that. And to play retail WoW with the free time we have, you can specifically dedicate. I mentioned how it takes me 2 hours to do my Azeroth stuff and my rare stuff, and then I'm done on my main, and I've got the rest of the day to myself. To put the time in to do classic WoW back in there against what I had today, I don't have the time to put in to do the stuff that's required to get the, like, before we knew what you could do now, especially with the 1.12 gear levels that's in classic WoW. Like, you had to gain specific resistance gear and have your pots and everything else. it's obviously proven that 15 years of intelligence obviously changes the way the end game works. You know, you don't need to be geared to the nines to take these things out. You've got knowledge of tactics and the better gear scaling of gear.
But I mean, technically, you didn't need to have all the best gear 15 years ago. Technically, if you knew what you were doing, because I feel like what was it we did? Tom, remind me here, when we did Molten Core with the least people. What was it, like 25 people or something like that we killed
it
with?
about that number, yeah.
And I mean,
28 Marty was the exact number, just to be precise.
There we go. So I mean, I think that was classic. That was the encounters that you were like, yeah, you need to. I mean, you can bring 40, but we know that half of those people don't know what they're doing, so we'll scale it after that.
I mean, that's true, but then even Classic WoW was still difficult, even back in Burning Crusade. I remember going to Zul'Gurub.
Don't we have to call it Vanilla WoW? Otherwise we're going to...
Yeah,
Classic
sure.
WoW,
So back in Vanilla WoW, I remember going to Zul'Gurub at 62. So I'm already 2 levels over the cap. I've got some better leveling gear and everything else. People got snotted because they didn't know what to do. We went in there with 25 people at level 70 thinking, we're going to over-gear it, we're going to over-level it. And
did you go to Zul'Gurub with 25 people in a 20-man instance?
We went to Nax Ramus with 25 people at level 70, and we got snotted by Patch. That like some of the classic content was still hard, and it'll be interesting to see as they get closer with 1.12, as they get closer to Encourage and Nax, how well they're able to just walk over stuff, because it definitely gets difficult as stuff goes further.
Yeah, because they're walking over Molten Core right now. Like, I'm just looking at it, and it's just like, yeah, you have a few people dying here and there, but they're just, like, rolling through as if, like, it's just another day, just a bunch of people here.
And they're not even geared as efficient as they could be.
But obviously, not everybody... Sorry, Sil, go ahead.
I think what we shouldn't forget is that 15 years ago, when all of these big dungeons and raids came out, we didn't have communication like we do nowadays with Discord or anything like that. It was all really bad TeamSpeak and people who didn't have microphones or
writing letters to each other. Yeah.
You didn't have streams or videos, or YouTube wasn't such a big thing, so you didn't know the tactics, you didn't see different ways of how to do certain things very efficiently, very quickly. And the same goes for tactics. We had maybe Thoughtbot, and that was about it.
Yep.
To tell you, okay, you need this, this, and this. But
nowadays,
there's so much. There's so much out there to help you with just playing to a higher standards compared to 15 years ago. So yeah, no wonder people are doing it a little bit better. And then we have 15 years of experience as well playing this game.
Yeah, and just as an example, I recently played through The Last of Us, if anyone has tried that game, and playing it the first time, it took me such a long time. Playing it the second time around here, so because my girlfriend I wanted to show her the storyline, it took us I think it was 3 nights, and then we were through the game. So just first of all, getting better at gaming, second of all, knowing what's coming helps a lot, I think.
And in the add-ons wise, Tom brought up on the 3 Extra Lives that the Guild Dauntless, they cleared a heroic raid without voice comms, and they're using add-ons and different things. So it shows we have some amazing tools nowadays to do things in the game.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I completely agree and everything else. But before we move on, I do want to say, because we haven't heard from a lot of people here, like Flame and Amanda specifically. A lot of us are old-time players. Some guys are new, but a lot of us aren't just playing to get to 60 and doing stuff. How are you finding the game, just in general, like being new to vanilla? I mean, I guess Mike can weigh in on this as well. How do you find playing something which is essentially an old game, but new to you?
I've been enjoying the differences between classic and retail. And it's different to me because, like you say, I'm new to classic. It's an old game, but it's new to me. And doing the whole, there's no quest markers, which I'm finding, where the hell do I have to go? I am getting lost an awful lot. And
Oh, my overlay's broken. There we go.
okay.
No, it's fine. It's fine. Go ahead. Keep going.
Yeah, buying your you're leveling up your class is new to me. Just like all those things, which honestly, if I wasn't playing with Tom, I don't think I would know how to do it, because it's not, to me, it's not that clear.
Right.
You know? And yeah, like even still, like in retail, I've got absolutely no idea what professions I'm supposed to pick, right? But it's even, I find it even more now, because I feel like they matter. Whereas in retail, it actually, I've never used my professions once, but now like Marty's making bags and sending them to us. Michael's leveling up the whole wrong thing, and he's really mad about it. Like like they matter, and so it's all
warriors,
it's a
warriors
really
need level working. Warriors need level working, and they
wear
can make
leather.
bags.
I think you're onto a good point there. Like, I think professions matter a lot more because there's more of a leveled gap and a level distance. Like, every 5/10 levels that we've had per expansion, professions don't matter as much when you're leveling, because you'll out-level the gear that you get given. Especially where everything scales now as well. So, yeah, no, I can see where the professions are a thing. Flame, how are you finding the game?
Well, I'm, like I said at the beginning, living vicariously through my teens a bit. I come home from work and they share with me all of their classic stories, like going out and grinding for linen cloth so that they can get those bags. And when I log in, I've got 4 bags waiting for me in my mailbox because they've made me bags.
I know.
That's what I did wrong
I
15
know-
years ago.
I know
I should have
we-
gotten kids.
I know we all used to joke about it to our friends who had kids while they were growing up playing WoW, about getting them to be the slaves to get your gold grinding and everything else. You, sir, you've actually done it. Congratulations to you, sir.
The true winner of Race to Roll First.
That's a long
It
race.
was a 17-year investment there, but it was worth it.
Your moment has come.
Oh, throw out my connection again.
Michael.
For me, it's been absolutely amazing on so many different levels. One, it is pretty much what I expected it to be. I wanted it to be this, like a throwback to when I used to play games like Final Fantasy, and I would have to like grind mobs in order to get gold to buy an item and things like that. And I'm really enjoying that aspect of it. I am enjoying the professions, even though, okay, so I do play retail quite a bit. I rated, but I've never done leatherworking, and I could have sworn that leatherworkers made bags. And when I logged in, I was like, this bag space is horrible. So I'm going to get leatherworking. I'm going to transform a skin into a nice bag, and it's going to help me. So I've been leveling leatherworking, and I was at like 60 with skinning, and everything was just going well. And then today, Tom was like, wait, leatherworkers don't make bags. And I was like, you got to be kidding me. That's not true, is it? And then,
Michael, just give me your character name and I'll send you a 6-slot bag.
no,
Michael,
I don't want
just-
that bag. I got a bag.
Just
from
kidding,
Random
Michael.
Stranger that I
Lever
bought for
workers
2
do
gold,
make
or 2
bags.
silver.
Lever workers do make bags.
Wait,
No, I
Marty,
don't trust
6
you no
slots?
more. No, you're saying that because you know that I deleted leatherworking.
I still want a 32-slot bag.
but I'm enjoying it immensely. Like, just that little bit of grind that I was expecting is there. The grouping with random people has been there. I've only ran into a few jerks. Damn, Torin, if
I'm sorry.
You know who you are. You slaughtered Ivar before us. Didn't invite us to the group. But I like that, and kind of counter to what Amanda said, where there are certain things that aren't explained that kind of like push you away. For me, it's those things that aren't explained that draw me in, because I'm like, oh, I want to know about that. I want to see what's going on. I want to know more about this, and I enjoy reading the quest to see what's going on. The overlay has just kind of like
I know.
exploded,
I'm aware.
but it's all
fine.
good. So yeah, I'm enjoying it immensely. Like this is what I wanted from it, and like I said, I haven't played anything else since this has been a thing.
Michael hasn't even mentioned, that he's playing on EU, and that's probably
He has
the number
mentioned it.
one reason. But he hasn't mentioned it enough. That's probably the number one reason why he's enjoying back in Warcraft, actually playing with people, awesome people. Sorry, Frazley.
But also the one thing that I thought already on day one was amazing was that in just those few hours, well, I think I played a little over an hour on launch night. Just in that hour, I had more, runnings in with random people, talking to random people that I think I've done in retail in this expansion. And just talking to people, grouping up, doing stuff together, and I think that's amazing, and it's something that I really feel like retail is missing and has been missing for such a long time, unless you have a set group of friends that you play with.
True that.
I feel hurt, but I was going to say that when it comes to the retail side of things, I found the grouping up specifically happens more in Mechagon than it does anywhere else, I know it's retail talk compared to the classic version of the episode that we're talking about right now, but it does happen. I find Mechagon's the better place for it, but it does happen.
Pete, stop trying to defend retail. Retail's dead.
I do agree with you, Pete, that because I think in the very first time I went to Megagon, I had like a 5-hour run with 4 other random people, and they all stayed to the end, and I was like, this is amazing. This is how I want the game to be all the time. Because if the Wailing Caverns run Syl and I did the other night, if that had been on retail, people would have been leaving that group, faster than Syl could conjure up some water drinks for me. So I really enjoyed that.
I want to hear hashtag stories from Classic WoW when you guys get to Moradin.
Well,
ooh, looking forward for
Marty,
that.
Going along with what you said about people not being disposable, I still remember in vanilla, we went into Strathholm and we had a tank that was just awful, and the name was Smuckers. And instead of no kicking them,
wow, name shame.
Name shaming.
This is why I don't want to do any dungeons, because Frazley is gonna throw me out there and be like, "Yo, we had a shit tank the other night."
But Michael, it's fine because he plays on that smelly US server, and you'll be playing with the good EU people. It's fine.
What was his email address, Frazley?
Smuckers did an amazing job and really tried. And our guild member, we were on Ventrilo talking with them, and at one point, one of the people in our guild was like, "Smuckers, with a name like that, he's got to be good."
Jesus.
Plot twist. Smuckers was Frazley.
That's it. He's just upping himself. Oh my goodness. So, I think it sidelines into the last kind of question / talking point I want to do before we wrap things up today is, are you, the people that have been enjoying Classic, are you going to sidestep into playing Classic as your main version, or are you going to keep playing retail and dip into it in a retail lull? Because there's those of us that do play retail, I think there's a large variety in what we do in the game, between raiders to people who play casually to people that level many alts and do all the various things in WoW. So, where's your direction? Do you think you'll just side switch into Classic? I nearly called it Vanilla again. Into Classic WoW as a main thing, or are you going to use it more as a side thing compared to retail?
I might have a unique answer to the group.
Okay. Well, you can go first then.
Okay, thank you. I think I'm falling into the place where I want to go full time on an RP server in retail, where Classic, I'm enjoying the element of like the situations that it's bringing to meet new people, but there's still part of me that's holding back a little bit, because I know Classic is only going to be for so long, where we'll get to this point where we probably run out of things to do. I've already been through that journey. I'm still happy to go on that journey, but I know that it's not this open-ended road that maybe retail is. And I think I just want to get comfortable doing that on retail, and recently wrote some RP characters with Marty and Amanda and had a lot of fun doing that, and that captured a little bit of pre-classic excitement before classic came out, and having a lot of fun on that. And I feel like there is a lot of difference between classic and retail, but I feel like we're only a few small changes away from being able to capture the magic of classic and bringing it back into retail.
Tom, I remember how you were back in those days. I mean, I didn't like you back then. I mean, now you have the unique chance to make up for how you were back then, and you're not going to take it.
Are you admitting you like me now?
Oh.
I can neither nor confirm or deny that.
Yeah. How are you doing with Marty? Because you've been back on the. I know you've been back in retail a little bit more, recent time, haven't you?
Yeah, until Monday.
What do you think you'll do with the future? Do you think you'll sidestep more into classic though?
I think I'm enjoying classic right now because there's not a lot for me to do in retail. When the next patch of retail hits, though, I'm pretty sure I will be back in retail and grinding those pearls and whatever I need to do to get that B mount. But when I run out of content, I think I could see myself come back to classic depending on where I am in the whole thing, and do another race to world first.
Frazley,
Yes.
I think you play more WoW compared to all of us. I'll be honest.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm on like 27 WoW podcasts, so I better be playing WoW.
It's only 27?
I know.
I thought it was
cut back.
37.
You must have dropped off a few.
Yeah, a few left WoW because of BFA, so I had to cut back.
So I mean, what are you gonna do? Like, are you just gonna jump between the two? Because like you as a person, you are on retail, but you don't do raiding. You do leveling between your main characters, your Iron Mans, and you investigate a lot of the story like I do and everything else. But are you gonna dip into classic more and go back to that?
Yeah, especially classic on streams, because there is that fun feel of like people watching it, people are interested, and like sometimes I will have people like Capo will like roll a rogue and they have a rogue, so maybe definitely the grouping aspect. Current's gonna be my focus. Like if I have the other thing like Pathfinder, I'm gonna make that the focus. But then I think classic, it'll be just a fun journey to see what it's like, where it is. I do agree with, I'm trying to think if it's Tom or Marty who said there is a point where there'll be nothing to do in classic, and I hate to say it, and that's where I don't want to put all my focus on classic, because
But that's at least 3 weeks away.
yeah, at least 3 weeks. Well, for me, probably like 6 months, because you said 4 hours for current WoW to get to max level.
That is the current world record. Is Slash played as 4 hours.
Okay, I'm obviously playing. Well, I'm a bad gamer anyway. So.
Flame.
Well, for me, I purposefully rolled on an RP server in Classic so that when the content that I feel the questing runs out, I have that other place to go with the role playing. I've got that level 60 at that point. I'm trolling or whatever I happen to be doing in RP, and I'll be able to enjoy a completely different facet of the game that when I was a noob, I screwed up and went, oh, a normal server. I bet that can do everything. No. If they look at you like, what the crap are you doing trying to RP with me? Are you trying to hit on me right now or what?
Those out of character says and everything else like that.
Exactly.
Seriously, I feel like Flameflash has figured everything out about the game. He got his kids to grind for him. He has set up, the future with RPA. Everybody, we should follow his example. Reroll, let's go.
There are very few queues in the RP servers over here in the US as well. That's why earlier on, with everybody complaining about queues, I'm like, queues? You guys are still seeing queues? Haven't seen queues since the first day.
The queues have gone down a lot, and I think they'll start to fade down shortly. But yeah, Amanda, I presume when it comes to retail, you'll mostly be using it, as Marty said, for your RP group.
See, I am not done everything on my main because I in retail I took a break between when we went away in September last year, and I've only been resubbed for less than a month, so I still have quite a lot of content to catch up on, and I've been enjoying it. But because it's something that I do with Tom, I only play like my main on retail with Tom. So I've got a couple characters that I also play like otherwise. And then the same with Classic. Like I had said originally to Tom, because he was like, I don't know if I'm really going to play. I was like, well, I want to play. I want to experience the whole thing because I've never seen this before. So this is something that I really want to see. So I know for me, I'm going to be trying to split my time, at least like try to get at least the reps in BFA up where they need to be so I can get flying and while still trying to experience Classic and play and maybe one day be able to be the same level as everybody else that has been playing for like all day, every day, Sil and Marty, to try to catch up with your levels and maybe like do dungeons and stuff. Because
No, you don't have a chance, Amanda. Just give up. We've lost them.
Marty's going away for a week, Tom. We have a chance.
Amanda, if you need any bags, just let me know, but don't tell Tom.
Thanks. I need bags. Don't tell
Not
Tom.
Marty's used bags. Oh no.
I think Mike was some bags.
Oh, hand-me-downs. They're the worst.
Sil, you've obviously been playing a lot of Classic, but are you going to make a hard switch, or are you going to use it?
How many ults do you have, Sil?
Do I really have to answer that? To say, well, my druid, who's also on Classic, is level 11 now, so I kind of play two characters at the same time. I don't know. I find it very difficult because at the moment I'm enjoying Classic much more for the game, if that makes sense.
Yep.
For actually playing the game. I don't feel like I have to think about a lot of stuff, whereas in BFA there's so much going on. Like, for instance, professions, I don't even look at professions anymore because they just confuse the heck out of me. So I stay away from a lot of stuff in the retail version just because I don't enjoy that. I only level really and I RP. That's what I do. The other thing that I really like with Classic is just the game itself, but also that for RP reasons, it's like a new fresh thing that I can start again, because none of my characters have set backgrounds anymore or any stories that have been going on for a long time. And I don't have to keep into account anything that happened in Cataclysm and all those things, so it makes for an easier story. I think at the moment I'll be probably more into Classic until it starts to die down. I have to see how big the community is in about 4 weeks when everyone's tokens run out, and see if they will actually get the goal to get more tokens to resub. If that doesn't happen and the game just dies, then I'll probably go back full-time to retail, because I need to be around other people, otherwise I might as well play the whole game.
Makes sense.
Yeah, I don't know yet. For the moment, Classic is where my attention is, but I'll jump back into retail for the RP.
That's fair. Michael?
For myself, I think right now Classic is my main. And I think I foresee it being my main for quite a while. Pretty much, I'm holding it as the main until probably I see what the expansion for retail is going to be looking like. So that's a good amount of time away. That's going to give me plenty of time to level up and do what I need to do in Classic. Yeah, and even if I hit that point where there's no more content for like my main character, there are so many classes that I want to level up and experience. Like, I want to see the Warlock. I want to see what it's like to go through that process of getting those demons, and the Hunter of getting those pets. And I just want to see the different aspects of Classic and all the things that I was missing. I was a huge fan of JRPGs back in the day, and this is kind of scratching that itch that I haven't had in a long time. And retail is still there. I'll dive in here and there. You know, I still don't have flying in retail because I don't have my Mechagon rep. But Classic is still overwhelming that urge to jump in there and just even do a few daily quests or world quests or whatever to get that little bit of rep. I still haven't even done that just because I'm like, nope, I want to play Classic. When I had to do Genome Project with Frazley, I was seriously like torn on what I wanted to do. I was like,
Didn't
I
make
kind
a
of
joke?
want to cancel on Frazley and just play Classic.
Didn't I actually turn around and make a joke in one of your streams that you guys should just do Genome in Classic? And Fraz,
Genome
was,
Classic.
Fraz was all
The
like,
answer with that,
Fraz was like, I don't want to start from level 1 again.
well, with it's Classic, we won't be 60 till like maybe 2025.
Well, maybe if you only do 1 level an hour, yeah.
Well, Pete, you've seen the way that we do things.
That is
That's
true.
exactly how it will go. But yeah, classic is my jam right now, and I am one of those ones where I do see myself eventually, if I get there, maybe trying to get into some of that end game content. But it's unlikely, at least from there. It's unlikely, but I could see myself going.
I mean, I think I'm with everyone here. Let's wait and see in the next 4 weeks how everything looks like. But I mean, if there still is a community that wants to do this, and I have a feeling there is, because there's a lot of private server people over here as well, right? Then I think I sort of I have like a secret goal that I at least want to do Molten Core and Onyxia in Classic that I would love to do, and potentially do the other raids as well as soon as they get out.
If I had to choose one thing that I'd love to do again, if I ever get to that point in Classic, it would absolutely be the Onyxia Attunement quest. I caught the beginning of that on the Race to World First stream the other day, and it brought back so many memories of just going through Blackrock depths and everything else.
Oh, just going back to Blackrock depths. Just going back to Blackrock Depths will be. I'm so looking forward to that. I mean, my goal is to at least get to 60 and get through all that because those end game dungeons that is in Classic, I love them. I mean, I love all of them. Maybe I still don't like Nomergan, but besides that, all of the other ones. Well, maybe not Stockage either. Stockage was crap in Classic.
Oh,
there's nothing in there. There's no reason to go in there. So.
That's right. Hogger's not there yet.
Exactly. But no, I really want to jump into that end game content again. So and I would love to raid with you, Michael. So let's do it.
Yeah, I think.
All right, I'll work on it.
I think I'm.
You have a wick.
I think I'm pretty much the complete opposite because I don't think I've been super bitten by the Classic bug yet. I got to level 5 in the first hour when the servers went up, but due to life and everything else, I was just exhausted from the day behind. Only 3 hours sleep. But it's like I've still got so much to do in retail. Like my current goal is hitting 70 on the Heart of Azeroth, and I'm like 4 weeks away from doing that. And I think once I've hit 70 and done that quest chain, then I've got time that I don't have to go and do everything else, and I can like spend some proper time doing some Classic stuff. So
won't there be a catch-up mechanic in the next patch anyway?
It's not the point, Marty. It's not the point. I want to hit
there
it
first. Gotta be there first. Come on.
I probably won't be there first. But
Pete's in a different race to world first that no one else is doing.
But I just want to see that level. Like to me, like it's the name of the podcast. It's the stories around Azeroth. It's the people that bring those stories and the stories that are in game that I want to see. I want to see that story that's behind making our own little demon soul that we're carrying around our little neck. You know,
now,
I want to see the conclusion of that currently before we get more story to do with that. And when we do that, once that's done, I'll probably invest a lot of time. But it sounds like I've got to, at least if I want to play with the rest of you guys, I need to get some time in on Classic. So who knows? We might see some leveling streams from me in the future. Yes, Frazley.
One story I want to bring, because we're talking about like current versus Classic, like where people like taking things from. I think Classic does have the ability to bring people back in. Capo was saying they were at the bank, I think it was Darnassus, and all of a sudden there's this person who has a name that they recognize. Found out that's the person who came back to the game.
Oh,
so
yeah.
I think there's a big possibility we may see a return of a lot of players as long as it stays.
I can tell you right now that the main tank in my guild has turned around and said that she has been talking to so many players that have come back to the game, that left, that have literally come back to Classic. And it's just like, she had no intention of playing Classic, but she spent about 2-3 whole days in Classic because her friends have come back to play and she's talking to them and enjoying
Such a
that.
casual. Such a casual.
But it's just one of those things. You're absolutely right. It is bringing people back, but as Sil said, we have to see where the population is in about a month's time. Like we all know that there was a massive, great big amount of people. Hell, there was more people coming back for the game than even Blizzard thought. They've panic opened many servers this week. They've implemented hotfixes to try and reduce queues and allow more people on those servers at a given time. But as we all know, where is that population going to be in a month after that 1 month sub runs out? You know,
In my raid doing Raggy.
I will say this is that if the numbers dwindle in Classic on like the area that I'm at, like at least with the mindset right now is that I will switch to wherever the numbers are. Like I will move to where the numbers are. Like at least with my current mindset, like before anything else has happened and before I've hit all that stuff, like I would probably, if everyone was like, hey, we're all moving over here, I'd move over there.
Okay. But I think that's a good time to end it. We are pretty much at an hour. It's been a fantastic talking to everybody that you can see on the screen or you've listened to in the last hour. But for the benefit of those people who do not know them, we will go through the socials and where you can find them. Sil, where can they find you around the internet?
Many different places. You can find me on Twitter at whispers_of_war. Or the podcast is on whispersofwar.podbean.com, and I stream occasionally on Twitch as McMonkeys with 2 Z. That's me.
Flame, can they find you around the internet in places?
I lurk in Twitter, also as Flameflash, and then Twitch as Flameflash82, though definitely not as regular there. And then Dragon Powered Studio Discord is a nice place to find me too.
Absolutely. Marty, where can they find you around the internet?
They can find me in Goldshire at your local RPG.
I was gonna say that. No, I was gonna say you can find him in Goldshire.
Dancing on that
And,
mailbox for your gold for your first one.
Giving away his used bags.
I'll meet you there, Marty.
Whoa.
And on the internet, you can find me at Sleepless in CPH.
Brilliant stuff. Amanda, where can they find you around the internet?
You can find me personally on most social media sites at Falamoya Crava, and you can find my podcast at Geek Herring.
Brilliant stuff. Tom?
You can find me on Twitter at Tom the Knight, and you can find my video game and trivia podcast, 3 Extra Life. 3 Extra Lives. That's everything. Twitch, social, website. It's all under that name.
Michael?
You can find me on Twitter at AcidTears111, or you can catch me on Twitch every Wednesday night with Frazley, where we do the Genome Project. That's twitch.tv/TheBlueRecluse. And I try to occasionally stream here and there when I have time.
Brilliant stuff. Mr. Frazley, where can they find you?
You can find me on Twitter at Frazleytastic, and you can find all my podcasts and streams at Frazley.com.
Brilliant stuff. Yeah, as always, ladies and gentlemen, you can find me on my main Twitter at Titans Creed. You can follow my gaming-specific one, which will retweet out all of my live stuff and everything else at Gaming Phoenix. If you don't want to listen to my normal daily bollocks, you can find vidcasts like this over on youtube.com/Project Phoenix Productions, and you can find me live streaming between 5 to 7 days a week at twitch.tv/Project Phoenix Productions. From myself, from everybody else here, thank you very much for watching and or listening on whichever one you have chosen to do. We will see you next time for another episode of Stories Around Azeroth, and as Frazley likes to say,
Be
Zug,
awesome.
zug zug. Zug zug.
Dr. Oga.
Loktar Oka. Thank you very much for watching, ladies and gentlemen. We'll see you next time.